in which you refer to. What do you mean by that? Because I've seen some of your tweets on this issue, which to me come across as incredibly anti-Semitic.
Right. Well, they're not anti-Semitic. Actually, one of the points that Andrew Neil made today is that you're referring to the Jewish question. Well, that's a tradition. That's in the Marxist tradition. Karl Marx wrote a book on the Jewish question. And actually, Abraham Leon, who was a Jewish Trotskyist, wrote a book on the Jewish question, and he died in Auschwitz in 1943. So examining the Jewish question from a Marxist standpoint is a long tradition in the Marxist movement.
But the language that you use on this, I mean, it was very similar, and Andrew Neil made this point to you, I think, this morning. It's very similar to the language that was used in Nazi Germany, I'm afraid, against the Jews. And it made me feel really uncomfortable reading some of these words.
No, it's in an entirely different context. This is not blaming Jews in general. This is blaming those Zionist politicians that are very important within the American ruling class and within the European ruling class in general. They have enormous influence, and they use that influence to defend the Israeli state when it commits absolutely heinous acts of mass slaughter against the Palestinians.
Do you believe that Israel as a state has a right to exist?
Well,
a simple yes or no answer.
Yeah, I don't believe it has a right to exist.
You don't, right? How do you feel?
I don't.
How do you feel, therefore, that you are compatible with membership of the Labour Party on that basis?
I believe you have a right to hold those positions. I am for a secular democratic state in the region where all minorities have a right to exist. I am not for a theocratic state like Israel that refuses democratic rights and the right to return of the Palestinians.
Am I right in my assumption that a lot of people who hold views similar to you have come back to the Labour Party in the last year, in the run-up to Jeremy Corbyn's election and since? Because you sort of see this as, in a sense, trying to right the wrongs of the 1980s.
Yes, I think that there was enormous damage done by Tony Blair to the working class, to the trade unions. He shifted the balance of wealth very massively from the poor to the rich. It was he that did such damage to the National Health Service with his private public finance initiatives.
He did win 3 elections, though, didn't he?
With decreasing majorities on every occasion, and he was becoming increasingly unpopular. And of course, the dodgy dossiers over the war in Iraq was the final.
So let me get this straight. A lot of people on the left, people who share your views, your friends, they've all returned to the Labour Party since Jeremy Corbyn's election.
Because there is a big swing.
So that's a yes, yeah?
Yeah, that's a yes, of course. Because, of course, there are young people as well that have returned because there is a big revulsion against austerity.
And how many,
in general.
What proportion of people who do agree generally with you, what proportion of them do you think they agree with your views on Israel, that it shouldn't exist as a state?
I wouldn't be able to estimate that. You know, I understand that that's quite a radical view, and in order to put that view across, you want a lot of time to explain it. Do you look at Jeremy Corbyn and think, now there is a man who I've got a lot in common with? I mean, I don't think Jeremy Corbyn would share your view on the state of right of Israel to exist, but you see him as somebody who's similar to you in some of your views. Cut from the same cloth. I would think that Jeremy Corbyn is putting himself forward very much as an expression of the people that have had enough of austerity and have had enough of people telling them.
But cut from the same cloth as you as a socialist, yeah?
Yeah. Because look, the rich and the powerful in this country have become increasingly rich and increasingly powerful at the expense of the poor and the working class.
Would you describe yourself as a Trotskyist?
Yes.
And what do you think? What do you think your political beliefs have in common with the modern day Labour Party?
I think we're all struggling for socialism. We're all struggling to end the exploitation of the working class by the capitalists. Some people think you can get that through Parliament. Some people think you will pass laws to do it. I would go along with those people. I'd form a united front with those people. But I think in the end, the people with privileges in Britain will always defend them and violently if needs be. If you had a big majority in this country for socialism.
But the problem is that in the past, there's never been that majority. I mean, if you look back to the 1983 election, where there was a left-wing manifesto, probably the most left-wing in your lifetime, Labour failed completely. Do you think that Labour can win an election with the kind of policies that you would want to advocate?
Well, not at the moment, obviously, but they could very well win with Jeremy Corbyn's policies, because we've seen in by-elections and in council by-elections that in fact he does win in the actual ballot, whatever the opinion polls tell us that he shouldn't be winning, but in fact he is winning.
And you're going to appeal the decision to expel you?
Yes, of course, I'll appeal the decision, of course.
Gerry, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. That's Gerry Downing from the group Socialist Fight. He's going to appeal his expulsion from the Labour Party.